Communism will win, and socialism has already won. I am here to tell you that this has already happened in our nation. And it's not just some edgelord at West Point posing with his "communism will win" written inside of his cadet's cap there with his Che Guevara rage bait shirt. This guy was kicked out of the academy and military for doing this. But his point is a valid one. Socialism is the gateway drug to communism, is what Karl Marx wrote. And socialism has already won, and it happened 10 years ago, and we're being stupid for ignoring history. And without a drastic course correction by the right-wing populist movement, we will get left-wing populism, and it'll be the end of the country. This is a photo that I took 10 years ago during the Iowa caucuses at my alma mater, a Bernie Sanders rally. This was when Hillary Clinton could barely fill a gas station or a Chick-fil-A in Iowa. I'm still convinced that they had to pay people to show up. Hillary Clinton could barely draw 40 people. Bernie Sanders was drawing 4,000. The fire marshal had to turn hundreds more away. I watched it myself. I went on the road and traveled and saw Bernie Sanders pack stadiums in Virginia and New Hampshire. These are sports arenas, sometimes the same arenas that Donald Trump was traveling to. Bernie Sanders was destroyed by the deep state, the establishment, or whatever you want to call it. Democrats and their donors were able to destroy Bernie Sanders and rob him of what I believe to be a rightful election. You can see here in 2016, Bernie Sanders got 13.5 million votes, and Hillary Clinton only got 16 million. He got 43% of the primary vote and nearly ran away with it. They were able to install Joe Biden also in 2020, where Bernie Sanders got a lower vote share, but we all know what was happening with votes in 2020. Bernie Sanders made enthusiastic runs and captured the heart of the Democrat Party in the year 2016. And what you're seeing right here is a energetic rally filled with young people as Bernie Sanders was promising to finish the work that Barack Obama had started. Just a reminder, there was no Trump to run against when Bernie Sanders was packing stadiums in 2016. Trump was considered not a serious candidate. Everybody thought that he was just running as a joke. Bernie Sanders was running against Barack Obama and the 2 years of Barack Obama to finish the job and bring socialism to America. And he was public about that and proud of it. And everybody on the left 10 years ago decided this is what they were down for. All of these young people at the University of Iowa wanted single-payer healthcare, government-run healthcare. They wanted a totally new social contract in America. That would obviously be disastrous, but that's because even then they were able to truly be motivated by the messaging that life is utterly unaffordable for a young person, that groceries cost too much, that gas costs too much, that a house costs too much, and those problems have only gotten worse. And so I'm here to warn against what I believe is the inheritor of the Bernie Sanders energy that captivated the country and that packed stadiums and made Bernie Sanders such a scary force that the Democrat Party had to literally release a virus in order to try and stop him and Donald Trump, both brands of populism, and that Bernie Sanders has already selected the inheritor of his movement. And he's made it very clear. And it's something you should take very seriously. Because while Bernie Sanders may not be the person who would be able to get the black vote or the brown vote, whatever you want to call it, right? The BIPOC vote. We saw that in the numbers and the data. Bernie Sanders won with younger people, but generally older whites and so on, like the boomer socialists, are trying to look for their glorious socialist revolution. AOC would pull in a very different demographic. And Bernie Sanders is physically uniting with AOC while they get aboard their $50 million jet, $15,000 an hour to operate this kind of a jet, and they crisscross the country together. And Bernie Sanders is saying, I have made my choice. And by the way, the odds makers for the Democrat Party are beginning to make their choices. And as Democrat socialists are winning power across the land, AOC is skyrocketing against her establishment stooge rivals like Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris. AOC is now at parity with them right here. 15%, 16% for John Ossoff, 18%. And she's telling the media she is running in 2028. And I'm telling you that that's game over. I'm telling you that the way that things are aligning right now, Bernie Sanders' message is going to resonate even harder and even more powerfully with young people. That there's an old-timer boomer socialist that is still around and that's going to love to get one final glorious revolution in their activist craw, and that AOC is gonna be the horse. Now, people like me have had a lot of fun with AOC. We've made a lot of jokes about AOC not knowing what a garbage disposal is.
I am told this is a garbage disposal.
AOC had to allegedly never seen a garbage disposal. Here's AOC using fake handcuffs when she was arrested at the Supreme Court. AOC is not in handcuffs here, yet she is using the magical invisible handcuffs. Obviously, AOC is somebody who uses an enormous number of humiliating, pandering accents all around the country. You can find her with different accents from different people for different lands. And so she's not a perfect vessel, but she's perfect for what they need. And what the Democrat Party needs is a look, a specific way where a person in an identity politics vacuum can appeal to a demographic that has been imported into our nation, that has no roots in the capitalist, democratic systems or traditions of our country, and in fact appeals to socialism because that's where they come from. A lot of people either came from the Middle East, which are socialist dictatorships, or from South America, which consider themselves socialist countries. And so AOC is going to be a perfect skin suit for the energy of the Bernie Sanders movement. And they've already started their own tour, Fight the Oligarchy tour, and they've already selected who's next. AOC this weekend telling John Carl, I am running for president.
Hampshire, that had you as the leading candidate, leading choice for Democrats. First, are you going to run for president?
I mean, I'm focused on winning the midterms. I'm running for Congress right now.
By the way, let me just interrupt her. That's a classic line. That is the line that they coach you on if you are going to run for president. But then AOC does something remarkable in this interview.
But I mean, do you see this as something? I mean, I know you said you're open to it. Is it a realistic possibility for you?
I haven't ruled out the possibility, and I'm very humbled to the tremendous amount of support out there. I think that we have a responsibility to remain focused on the midterms and not on our individual aspirations or plans.
And running for Senate against Chuck Schumer, is that also something that's possible?
I mean, I think that anything is possible at this juncture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we know what's going on here. AOC is moderating her positions, which are remarkable. Not only is she already setting herself up to run against J.D. Vance, saying that she hopes J.D. Vance is the nominee.
I hope he is. That's what I'll say. That he's the Republican nominee? Yeah.
AOC asked about this. Took her about a minute to come up with this little one-liner, right? J.D. Vance is saying he wants to run against you for president. And J.D. Vance responding, saying the same thing, but they both can see the numbers. They can both see where AOC is inside of these critical states, as AOC is at the top. You can see here in Bernie Sanders' Vermont, or number 2. And AOC is now doing something that I think is politically genius. She's walking back woke 1.0. She has now a rote answer for anybody calling her woke. saying, wait a second, you wanted to ban the police and prisons and open the borders. And AOC is saying, woke 1.0 was just crazy.
Is that Francesca Hong has made clear her present stances to her electorate.
Yeah, she's moved away from a lot
right,
of that.
She's moved away from it. And I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. Okay, that's
and I think that what's
sort of laughing it off. You'll never see John Carl tickling himself here. They're so repulsive, the way the media treats these people. You'll never see John Carl tickling himself and tee-hee-heeing with a Republican. But look at how thrilled John Carl is that AOC has finally come up with a line in order to blanket pardon herself for the insanity of woke 1.0, which not even Bernie Sanders, of course, in his political wisdom, got on board with. You can't find Bernie Sanders saying shut down all the prisons. In fact, Bernie Sanders was a bit of a border hawk, quite frankly, because of his left-wing populist movement. They can't have an open borders and a welfare state. Bernie Sanders knew that, at least in antiquity. He used to run on that. AOC is going to run for president. Now she's saying Democrat policies of the 2020 era, woke 1.0, we're all crazy. Look at this. I actually think full-grown adults endorsing police abolition don't get to just say, whoopsie. Is anybody archiving these sycophants when they try to downplay or deny their complicity in the future? Well, there you go. Look at this. Woke 1.0 was crazy, Madame President, says the New York City council member from AOC's Brooklyn, or adopted Brooklyn. She's not actually from there. But it doesn't matter, right? As long as you tell the right story, as long as you look the part, AOC will be the inheritor of the base that already is fused with the Democratic establishment. And you can see it in constant clips of Democrats saying, no, we agree that socialism should be the future. We agree. Everyone from Chuck Schumer, every senator, they've all embraced it. What's happened from here, ladies and gentlemen, this photo where Bernie Sanders was an insurgent against the selected candidate and the establishment had to stop him, cut him off at the knees. Now the establishment is on board with left-wing populism, socialism. The establishment is the socialists. What happens next? What happens when this gets the full backing of the DNC? In 10 years, Democrats will pretend they never promoted transgenders or hormone therapy for children. That's exactly right. They're trying to just brush it off. The entire history of communism is communists doing the most horrific things imaginable. And when there's backlash, they say, hey, man, wasn't that wild? I'm glad it's over. Stalin would butcher 50,000 people and then do exactly this every single time. AOC and far left said these issues were existential just a couple of years ago. They said we needed to reorder entire society and nation around them. Systemic racism. Now they're laughing it off, admitting they got swept up and couldn't think logically. You're not fit to lead. Just a reminder, AOC is also saying that the planet's going to end by 2031. And yet now she's trying to freeze her eggs. Well, why would you want to have kids if the planet's going to end? It's just rhetoric to fund the police movement. But, this whataboutism, what I'm here to do is I'm here to say it's not going to work. AOC's been selected. AOC is going to be it. They're going to do it. And they're going to run her up against J.D. Vance, and they're going to try and put a fresh coat of paint on the whole girl boss Kamala Harris thing with somebody who's much younger, somebody who's about J.D. Vance's age. I mean, they'd both be in their, AOC would be close to 40 by the time she was running in 2 years. She's 37 right now. So she'd be close to 40. J.D. Vance is just 41. So he'd be a few years older, but you'd have two of the youngest people ever running for president. And so it's going to be a election of who has the best message for the youth. That will be the election. That will be the ball game. And I am here to warn you from the past about the future. That Bernie Sanders' message, who he is coaching and running AOC, he's marionetting AOC. AOC is a skin suit Bernie Sanders. So Latina skin suit Bernie Sanders. I'm here to tell you that it's going to work unless Republicans do something immediately. What do I mean by that? You can see J.D. Vance is skyrocketing in the Republican odds, and there's pretty much no other horse in the race. Even Marco Rubio is collapsing here. J.D. Vance must immediately begin to do what anybody who hopes to withstand the force of left-wing populism must do, which is to embody their arguments and use them against them and deliver results. And what do I mean by that? You can't just lecture people that their lived experience is wrong. You can't just say when everyone's complaining that gas is too high, that grocery prices are too high, that homes are unaffordable, all of those things are empirically true. In the last 20 years, virtually every single commodity or good that you use has gotten twice as expensive. Nothing is cheaper. Nothing, very little, has gotten better. And so those are the kind of agitation points that is used to bring about communism. And it's always been that way. And so this administration must lock in and begin to deliver on the promises of America first. That means ending cessations of foreign wars, ending not just whatever's happening in Iran, but also ending the war, which was a trap, obviously a trap, but also ending Ukraine war and any other war you can get your hands on, not starting new ones. They're very unpopular and they do horrible damage to the economy. And then number two, start talking about these things, because this is all that socialists talk about. The price of gas and food, because it is relatable. This is the definition of viral, is something that people know and they can be used. People have experience buying groceries, food, gas, and cars. A lot of people have experiences buying homes. And so to take it seriously, you have to actually do it. Now, luckily, there does seem to be some great institutional energy for something that is not AOC. While you may be able to kick up some radicals on a campus, do those people actually vote? Do they have any skin in the game? Will they be motivated to show up to the polls? Will they just smoke weed and like sleep in and they won't even care? You know, you do have to ask those questions. And there's still power in institutions. The president and the vice president can change their messaging on this drastically over the next 2 years in the lead up to the 2028 election. But the hour is late and it's already upon us. Bill Maher saying that he's not going to support AOC and then he might support JD.
Every time when the Republicans come here, they take their beating like a man. It's the people I vote for. They're the ones who won't talk to me. That's odd, isn't it?
It is very odd.
I mean, and I promise.
Well, like this new woman who was elected in New York. Do you think she'll come on the show?
Oh, I know you want. No, I can't get AOC. I can't get Mandami. I couldn't get Kamala Harris. You know, it took me 8 years to get Obama. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's not talk about my problems. And I promise this is going to be a lot easier than talking to the Iranians. Or even more, The View.
The question is whether it's harder than The View.
So Bill Maher would go on to say that he would be willing to support J.D. Vance. The question for the movement is, how can J.D. Vance cut off a populist left that has a lot of ammunition right now? And I'm not just talking about the ammunition to blow Trump's head off. They already tried that. I'm talking about the ammunition of the entire DNC apparatus behind them. When they were an insurgency, they were strong and powerful enough. They got cut down by the Hillary Clinton machine and the Joe Biden machine. And they were killed in the cradle, so to speak, but they were very powerful. What about when the entire Democrat apparatus and all the donors get behind them? And then you still have record high grocery prices, gas prices, home affordability crisis. People are going to continue to vote for who will make my life discernibly better. And I'm telling you right now, AOC is the inheritor of that message of populism from the left. Will J.D. Vance grab that message from the right and then carry forward with absolute seriousness the MAGA message, the America First message that put Donald Trump in the White House twice, 3 times, let's be honest. That's the question, and that will be the ball game, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just here to tell you that socialism has already won. They've already taken control of one of 2 parties in America, and the communists are next, unless we stop them. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this in the comments.